Hey, friend, and welcome back to the show today. We have an action-packed episode. I'm going to talk all about lead generation in regard to real estate, because if we don't have leads coming in, then we can't buy deals. And so I believe lead generation is arguably the most important puzzle piece to this huge puzzle that we've got to put together to have success in this crazy world we call real estate investing. And so I want to make sure you walk away from this episode knowing what are the different types of lead gen, how do I pursue them, where do I start, what does Jaron recommend, what does his strategy look like, so that you can go and implement those into your real life. But before we dive in today, I want to invite all of you guys to a free real estate training I am hosting this Wednesday night. If you go down to the show notes of this show, you will see the link to sign up will be in the show notes. Click that link, put your name, email address, whatever information it asks for. You'll be signed up. We're hosting it this Wednesday. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern time. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm going to break down what I call my W-2 millionaire method. So I've built my entire portfolio, done all of my real estate while working a full-time job, raising a family, being involved in my church, coaching kids, sports games, all the things. I think there's this misconception that you have to go into real estate full time if you're gonna go in at all. Like, if you're gonna invest in real estate, you gotta do it full time. I think that's the biggest thing from the truth. I know it's the biggest thing from the truth, because my life has been completely changed by it without having to just quit everything, learn this totally new skill, and just be depending on it for my entire income right off the bat. Like, I think that's a dumb way to do it. Let's leverage what we have in place, our W-2, what we have in place, to then build this dream life through real estate, and then we give ourselves the option of financial freedom, and then we can choose what we want our days to look like. So now I'm preaching, but if you want to come learn all about the real estate millionaire, W-2 millionaire method, how to do this thing the right way, be at my free training this coming Wednesday. If you listen to this episode after we've already hosted the training, we will post the link to the replay in the show notes so that you can go watch it and check it out. Also, if you want to know how to analyze deals, like a really specific skill of real estate investing, go to analyzewithjaron.com. I released a new course that breaks it all down: how to analyze flips, BRRRR deals, regular traditional purchases of rentals with 20% down, how to calculate ARV, rehab, rental comps, all that good stuff. Everything you need to know about rental and flip analyzation is in this course. Go to analyzewithjaron.com. You will walk away with so much information. So let's dig into lead generation for real estate. Like I mentioned a minute ago, you have to have leads coming in. If we don't have leads coming in, and then take it a step further, if we don't know how to analyze, which this segment is not about, but you can go learn how to analyze at analyzewithjaron.com, then we can't ever buy deals. We got to have them come in. We got to be able to look at them and know if it's a good deal or not. And then we got to be able to offer and fund it and all that good stuff. There's a whole plethora of things that go with it. But it all starts with lead generation, finding good deals. Around here, there's my best friend Gaston, who got me into real estate. He is what we call a bird dog. That's how he started his career. He would go bird dog deals, finding good deals. There's some scouts in the baseball world. They call them bird dogs. They want to go find that diamond in the rough, find that good player. And that's what we're trying to do with these deals. And there are so many different ways that we can do that. There's not one right or wrong. There's not one that works better necessarily than the other. And a lot of the way you're going to generate leads is going to be dependent upon, what does your schedule look like? What does your life look like? What does your budget look like? What does your team experience, all that good stuff look like? But I want you to be equipped with the different ways that you can do it so that you can implement some of these now and then know which direction you should go as you progress. I've heard Brandon Turner teach on this rule. He calls it the 1-1-1 rule. And I really like it. I like it a lot. I wish I'd have come up with it. But it says, Brandon says, you want to analyze one deal a day, make one offer per week, and that will lead to one closed deal per quarter. Now, obviously, if we want to scale that up, then we just increase the deals we're analyzing, increase our offers, and then we'll ultimately increase the amount of deals we're getting done. But this is the classic principle of input is going to dictate output. And so it's just like I've been in sales my entire career. What we input, what we put in to getting new deals, finding prospects, going out and building relationships is going to decide, am I going to have a good year in sales or am I not going to have a good year in sales? Same thing is true with real estate. Are we getting leads coming our way? Are we analyzing them? Are we making offers? If so, well, then we're probably going to close on deals. If not, you're going to wake up and say, God, I just can't do any real estate deals. Well, have you analyzed any? Well, I've done a couple. Have you made any offers? No. I hadn't felt comfortable to make any offers. Well, okay. Well, how do you think you're going to get a deal then? So anyways, let's break this down. I like to look at two different buckets when I'm talking about lead generation. You've got organic lead generation and you've got paid lead generation. And it's pretty much like any business out there. The finance cowboy business, we coach a lot of people on how to buy real estate. Some of the folks who find us organically through our social media or free content. Other folks who find us, we've spent money to acquire this customer. Same is true in any industry. Same is true when we are generating leads. So when I look at my particular story, where I started with real estate, and still to this day where I spend a lot of my time, is organic leads. I think for the everyday average person who's working a job, wants to be able to create financial freedom through real estate, but they're like, bro, I'm not doing it full time. I don't have time to cold call 50 hours a week. I don't have time to do this, do that. Organic is going to be like that core of what you do. Okay. And I'll talk about how we implement paid with it here later. But I think there are so many good deals that can come from organic if we know where to look and we know what we're doing. Now, the one thing with organic leads is, there is less sweat equity. Okay. So it's going to take less time on your end most of the time, but there's more competition, and we'll break that down. So when I look at organic leads, where do we go to get organic leads? Number one, we partner with investor-friendly agents. Number two, we partner with wholesale companies who are constantly sending us leads. Number three, we get on a Zillow or Realtor.com. We choose our buy box, and then we set up notifications on Zillow to notify us when something comes up for sale in this particular range. Driving for dollars. Now, this is going to take a little more of your time, but do it after work. Do it on a Saturday morning. Do it on Sundays after church. My wife and I went driving literally last night after my kids' soccer banquet. There was a house that I wanted to see that was for sale with 30-something acres, and I wanted to go look at it. So we went driving around. So driving for dollars, it's not going to cost you anything other than a little bit of gas. Real estate investment Facebook groups. Networking, so going to local real estate investment association meetups. Scheduling meetings with other local investors, with lenders, with property managers, putting yourself out there, telling them what you're looking for. All those good things. I'll dive into it more here in a minute, but networking is not going to really cost you much at all, but it's going to allow you to build those relationships. Social media, and then Craigslist. I know it sounds crazy, but Craigslist is still a fantastic place, in my opinion, to get lead sources. And then when we look at paid leads, I like to look at it as there's less competition, but there's more sweat equity and there's more money that's going to be having to get involved. So there's a lot of different ways we could do paid leads. Like we could do radio ads, we could do Google ads. I mean, there's so many different things, but I think there's two main places when we're going to do paid leads, especially with the clientele that I work with and who follow our brand, is number one, cold calling, and number two is direct mail campaigns. And so I want to walk you through each of these. Sometimes some of them I'll spend a little more time on than others, but just to give you a solid understanding of how you need to approach each of them, which ones you should look at first. And then when it comes to potentially adding in that paid and spending some money to generate leads, spending more time, doing the more uncomfortable things, how do we best set ourselves up for success? So let's jump back to agent partners. I love working with investor-friendly agents. Let me clarify that. Investor-friendly agents. There are a lot of agents all across the country who have no idea what investors are looking for. They have no idea about what makes a good rental property, what area makes a good rental property, especially with our strategy where we're finding distressed properties and we're fixing them up and either rehabbing them or selling them. So we got to get with investor-friendly agents. And they're in tons of different markets. Like the people who work with us, we have contacts and introduce them to different agent partners all across the the really Midwest and Southeast, but some all across the country. And the key here is to build a relationship with them. So set up a time, meet with them, Zoom, virtually, I think is the best, or do a phone call, and go through and understand their market. Have them teach you about their market. Now, if it's a local market, you're probably going to have a good understanding, but still have the investor teach you some things that you don't know. You're not going to know everything about your market. In real estate, you want to know, what's the growth looking like? What areas do we stay away from? What are those B2C class neighborhoods, right? That's our bread and butter. What are these neighborhoods? They're not the nicest in town, but they're not the worst in town. And then you're going to be able to tell them what your budget is, how you're going to be funding things, whether you're using a private lender, hard money lender, traditional financing, HELOC, whatever the case may be. And you guys can work together to put together this game plan based on what your strategy is. Are you looking to BRRRR? Are you doing traditional buys with 20% down? Are you flipping? And then once they know what you're trying to accomplish, the type of area and town you want to accomplish it in, then they can go to work bringing you leads. And that's very important, because instead of you having to go and generate all these leads yourselves, a lot of these investor-friendly agents already have them coming to them. So whether they're doing mailers out of their office, they have somebody in their office already doing cold calling, they're on all the wholesaler lists, they know all the contractors who then call this agent and tell them they got a house that they know is coming up for sale, they got an investor who wants to buy it. They're just a fantastic starting point to get started for lead generation, because these people understand the game, they understand the area, and they're going to be kind of that core piece that then can connect you to all the missing links as you move through the journey, such as your property manager, your lenders, all the key pieces that come with it. So I love starting with an agent partner. The second is wholesalers. So we kind of make fun of wholesalers down here where I live, but they have a place. We call them bottom feeders, right? They're going around and they're just trying to find as many deals as possible at as low of a price as possible, and then they're going to get a property under contract, and then they're going to sell that contract to an investor. So a lot of times wholesalers aren't even buying the property. They're just getting the property under contract and then selling that contract to an investor for a fee. Now, a lot of states are cracking down on wholesaling, so wholesalers are having to get creative and do different things. It's a totally different topic. They'll still be around to some capacity for a while, so don't you worry about that. But it's key to get on their list, because they have gobs of people cold calling pretty much every city and state in America trying to find deals. Now, one thing with wholesalers is a lot of the deals that they're sending over are crap. Okay, they're either overpriced, maybe missing some stuff on disclosures, or they're in areas that I don't really recommend buying in. So a lot of those D-class neighborhoods where I don't think is the best place to purchase. And so you have to be very picky. I will sit down with them. I will meet with them, whether it's virtually in person, depending on the location. I will tell them my buy box. Hey, I'm looking for homes, $150,000 or less. They're distressed in B2C class neighborhoods. I don't want any of this, war areas, like D class, scary areas. I don't want any of the nice areas. Just send me this particular, oh yeah, we got you. And then they'll just send you everything on their list. So it's okay. But the cool thing about it is if you're on a bunch of wholesalers list, you have leads that you can look through every day, and eventually you'll find some gems that they send over. Then you can jump on them, close. And good thing is, you're usually going to close pretty quick and seamlessly. You just want to make sure you're doing your due diligence with wholesalers. Looking yourself on Zillow. So I have probably bought, 65, 70% of the deals in my lifetime, just me finding them on Zillow. Like the last two I've done, people say, well, that was easier in 2018, 2019. I've done it in 2024. I did it in 2023. So, you're wrong. Yes, were interest rates a lot lower in 18 and 19? Hell yeah, but everybody was saying the same thing. It's a terrible time to buy real estate. Don't buy real estate right now. Prices are too. It's the same story every year. I promise you, it's the same story every year. You'll hear it every year. But there are tons of good deals. There were great deals then. There are great deals right now, especially at the time of this recording, because a lot of people are listing properties and they're listing them like it's 2022 still, where real estate was on fire, but it's 2024 and real estate's not on fire right now because rates have gone up. And so houses that used to sit 3 to 5 days are sitting 45 to 55 days. And so they're dropping prices. And then also, not to get in the weeds here, you got things like Airbnb where people bought way wrong a couple years ago. They're bleeding, don't know how to operate. They're selling at discounts. And so anyways, I think right now it got kind of dried up on Zillow for the amount of leads that were coming in. Just that you could get on yourself and look at and find, but it's starting to pick back up. With that, though, I will say there's more competition on the investor side of things, because these investors have kind of sat idly the last little while the market's been insane. Now it's cooling off. Prices are dropping. Deals are showing themselves. And so I have lost out on 2 to 3 deals in the last month or two just from other investors beating me out. And so that's one of the things you'll run into, those properties that you find on Zillow. But go shoot your shot and keep looking on there. Set your buy box, go in there and have it notify you when, certain houses and certain zip codes pop up for sale with certain prices. And I will tell you this, and then I'll move on. Don't let the list price dictate what you offer. One of the last deals I got, it was listed at $150. I bought it at $105. Okay. So what it's listed at does not mean that's what you have to buy it at. And if you want to know more about that, you would just have to be coached by me, because there's a whole strategy to knock down the actual purchase price. Maybe I'll dive into that one time, and I'll probably have in another YouTube video, but I don't have time today. So, anyways, Realtor.com, Zillow, those are great places to get deals. Drive for dollars. Man, what a great play. There's almost no better way to find deals, and I understand everybody can't do this. If you're not buying in your market and you live in an expensive market, this is why having an agent, investor-friendly agent, or a boots-on-the-ground person on your team in an out-of-state market is important, because they can do this for you. But getting in the car and driving around and just writing down addresses that properties look vacant, the yard looks overgrown, the yard looks like crap, the house looks like crap, but they're in good areas. You can do this manually, writing it down. There's a great app, Deal Machine, fantastic app. There'll be a link for it down in the show notes that you can use. That's great for driving for dollars. Get in the car, have your point person get in the car, and just go. Just spend 30 minutes. Figure out where those B2C class neighborhoods are and go drive for 30 minutes. You'll come back. Y'all DM me and let me know, or leave a comment on YouTube and let me know. I want somebody to do this. And then just 30 minutes, and I'll bet you a high five virtually that you will find 5 properties that are vacant that you can make an offer on. There's literally one. I just did this the other day. It's about 30 seconds from my house. My wife showed it. She said, "Hey, you need to drive by this house." I was just going through the neighborhood the other day, and this house is vacant. Sure enough, it's just sitting there vacant. I'm going to go flip it. So great way to generate leads. Facebook groups. Join real estate Facebook groups in the local market that you're investing in. You're going to see deals come up all the time. You're going to get contacts. You're going to meet contractors. You're going to get, property man. You're going to learn which areas to invest in, which not, which contractors to stay away from, which types of houses do good. All that stuff is going to be in those. So you're going to learn so much more than lead gen, but you're going to see deals pop up. And a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times in those Facebook groups, those deals are coming from other investors, which is one of my favorite strategies for buying rental properties. And I'll talk about that later. But make sure you're in these Facebook groups, adding value, connecting with people, meeting people, and generating leads. Networking. Man, you got to put yourself in rooms with other investors and people who are already where you want to be. The local real estate investing associations across the country, you need to go to them. Even if where you live, you're not buying, go to those real estate investing meetings, because you're going to be able to make a lot of connections that will most likely lead to lead generation and doors opening in other markets. Because if you can't buy in your market, all those people at those RIA meetings probably can't buy in your market either. So what does that mean? They probably got leads coming in other markets. And believe it or not, every investor can't buy every deal. Become friends, add value to their life, earn their trust, and weasel your way in these different markets to people who you're living next to locally. And if you're buying locally, then shoot, you got it easy. Go there, network. You'll find an old man eventually. I had a guy on my podcast, I'd say not long ago. It was probably a year and a half ago now. So it is long ago. But he was working on deals going to change his life. There's this old man who had bought rental properties. He was in his 80s, ready to sell them all. And he was going to sell them to this guy who's on my podcast, seller financing. And this was going to change this gentleman on my podcast life. And then it was going to be amazing for the investor, because he wasn't going to have to take a big capital gains hit. And so I'm not saying that's going to happen to you, but like when you start just mingling with other people who are doing this real estate game, there's a lot of deal flow within the real estate community, not just buying from owner occupied, a lot of deal flow. And so if you put yourself around those folks, then some stuff's going to pop up. Social media, long before I ever had the Finance Cowboy brand, I would just post on my personal like Facebook account or personal Instagram account, like pictures of houses we're working on, or I would just randomly post, hey, we're looking to buy any houses in this particular area. If you know of anybody selling, let me know. And just letting people know, letting everybody know that you're looking to buy properties, because then stuff starts coming to you, because everybody wants to be in real estate. They think it's really cool to like see what real estate investors do, but most people never have the cojones or, the know-how or the drive to do it. So like, okay, well, if I can get in like by bringing Jaron leads, I hook Jaron up with leads, and then I go and reward these people. I give them a good chunk of change for bringing me deals. So make sure you're blasting out there. And then Craigslist. Stay looking on Craigslist. There's some deals that pop up. Do not get scammed. Don't go wiring people money. Do everything through your closing attorney. Get a title search, title insurance, all that good stuff. So don't do anything wonky. I'm just saying, for lead gen, hop on Craigslist and you'll see some deals. So that's organic. Now I want to talk about paid leads, okay, where there's going to be less competition, but it's going to cost you a little bit of money and more sweat equity. All right, so I talked about all the different ways that you could do it. I really want to focus in on two: cold calling and direct mail campaigns. So when I look at cold calling, it scares most people. Cold calling, by the way, is you just picking up the phone and calling somebody and say, hey, I'm an investor in this area. Would you be interested in selling your house to me? Essentially, right? So there's different ways that conversation could go, but I mean, that's the simplest way to do it. Hey, my name's Jaron. I buy in this area. I'm interested in potentially purchasing your house if you are interested in selling. And then you take the conversation from there. All right. So there are a number of resources that you can use to get a hold of these property owners. So you can use like PropStream and Deal Machine. Those are going to be my two favorite. And so you can type in all of these different prompts of list to pool of types of distressed owners. Okay. So when we're looking at who are we going to cold call, we're calling distressed owners, distressed properties, or other investors who will be willing to sell. That's what I'm attacking. Distressed owners, distressed properties, other investors who may be in a distressed situation, or they're just looking to get rid of, a property or 30.
Are you struggling to manage your real estate business across multiple spreadsheets, tools that aren't connected, and a banking solution that's not built for your needs? You need a partner like Baselane. You need a simple yet powerful platform to manage your rental property business. Baselane is the #1 banking platform built for real estate investors. It's business checking, online rent collection, bookkeeping, tax reporting, analytics, and more, all in one place. With Baselane, start automating your rental business finances and say goodbye to countless hours of busy work while taking control of your rental property finances to reduce expenses and increase your rental income. Join more than 40,000 real estate investors who trust Baselane to manage your rental property finance with confidence. Open an account in minutes. It's that fast. Head over to baselane.com/cowboy and sign up for the chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card. That's baselane.com/cowboy, COWBOY, and you're going to be entered into a raffle for the opportunity to win a $500 Amazon gift card. Go sign up today.
And we want to take it off their hands. So you want to think tax lien, pre-foreclosure, divorce, the parents who own the property just passed away, so now it's going to the state. They don't want to sell taxes. Another spouse or one of the spouses just passed away. It's one of the properties I just purchased. The lady needed to get rid of the home. She had already moved. It was too big for her. She's like, please get this off my hands. There's all sorts. I mean, I could sit here and spend all day showing you the different lists you could pull, and we work with our students in the rental academy on that. But you want to be specific. Now, I think we get even more specific when we're using my method, what I call the W-2 millionaire method. When we have a life, when we have a job, when we don't have all the time in the world to just sit around and cold call, I think we need to be a little more dialed in and a little more specific. And so what I will usually do is I'll do two things. Number one, I will dial in the areas that I know I want to buy in. So you got to do that research first, whether it's locally or you're working with an investor-friendly agent, property managers in a different market, and they can show you on a map those different zip codes, neighborhoods, target areas that you need to hit. Then I will go and I will pull list for those particular areas. I'll pull all the lists that I have, all the potential distressed owners, all the things I just went through, pre-foreclosure, divorce, parents just passed away, one spouse passed away, all that stuff. We'll get them all pulled. But then I will also pull LLC owners, which just means other investors that own in that area. And I will pull I will pull vacant properties that investors own. I will pull out of state properties. Let me say that again. I will pull properties that are owned by out of state investors, by out of town investors, local investors. And so what I'll do is I'll get those lists, and I usually, before I ever call what they call the owner occupied, these are people they're living in their particular house, I will start by calling the other investors in that area first, because I think my time's more well spent there. It's a easier call. So if you're nervous about just randomly calling somebody, you're not calling somebody who lives in that particular house. You're calling an investor who has probably multiple houses. Okay. And you are trying to do a business deal with them. They understand the game. They may, have been on the fence about selling that particular property, and you catch them at the right time. And so I love doing it because it's just an easy way to get in, and, not as hard and easier to get people to answer the phone and text you back. Now, the big thing you want to let people know when you're calling other investors is that you're not a wholesaler, because other investors pretty much hate wholesalers calling them. So, but hey man, my name's Jaron. I invest in the area. I'm not a wholesaler. Like, I just am looking to add my portfolio. Saw you had some properties on X Street. Didn't know if you'd be interested in selling. Call them, leave a voicemail, text them that, follow up. Just set it every week or every 2 weeks. Follow up. And any of this cold calling, follow up is going to be strong. And there's so many different ways we can get into that through task managers, automated text, automated voicemail. Don't have time for the breakdown of that today, but follow up is going to be huge in this game. So we'll start with LLC, other investors who live out of state, then out of town, then locally, and then also vacant LLC owners as well. So they have vacant properties. And then I'll usually move over and I'll stay in those defined areas that I've chosen, and I'll start working the owner occupied list. I like to start personally, this is just me, with the estate, like sales, quote unquote, where a spouse has just passed away or both parents have just passed away and the kids have inherited the property. A lot of times people want out of that, and I'm not calling them the day after. Let's give it some time. But a lot of times they're moving, the kids don't want it, and it's a great way to be able to help people solve their problems while also being able to land a real estate deal for yourself. And then we can go through all the different other lists and call people. But the biggest thing, I did a lot of rambling there. The biggest thing I wanted to tell you guys that you walk away with is, when I say cold calling, don't think that we're turning this into a full-time job. We're doing it very, very targeted in certain locations that we know we want to buy in, and certain types of sellers, not just every house out there. So it's going to be dialed in. We're not going to spend a lot of time, spend 1 to 2 hours a week on a Saturday morning, on a Thursday after work, whatever. While you're riding down the road, just have your list, call these folks, and try to get the sale. And then we're going to be doing the same thing for mailers, except we're not going to be calling. So all those targeted areas that we're interested in, we're going to put a mailing campaign together. I love Ballpoint Marketing. There'll be a link down below for them, as well as PropStream and Deal Machine, who I talked about earlier. And you can set up a mailer campaign. You can design. They have amazing designs, by the way, for these postcards that go out. And you can just mail to all these addresses that you're interested in, that you've narrowed down, that are distressed, other LLC owners, location, all that good stuff. And you can just set that thing on autopilot. Because with the mailers game, kind of like cold calling, cold calling's a little more direct. You're going to get more callbacks. But mailers is just a, hey, I'm staying in front of you game, right? They keep seeing your mailer, keep seeing your mailer, keep seeing your mailer. And when the day comes where they need to sell or they want to sell, they've been seeing your name over and over and over again. Who do they call? They call you. It's almost like a big company who's advertising on TV. It's not like a direct response always type of marketing. We want it to be direct response. It would be amazing, but it's more building that brand awareness. So when the time comes, you're that person. So that's my breakdown of lead generation between organic and paid leads, the main strategies that I use to generate leads, how I use those strategies, how I spend my time. I would start with the organic, and then I would work my way into targeted paid when it kind of dries up. Now, I mentioned it earlier, but in sales of my career, one thing we say is when sales start to slow, we don't have prospects coming in, let's get out on the road, let's pick up the phones, let's stir the waters, and when we do that, good things tend to happen. And so I'd encourage you, whichever one of these you decide to implement first, start getting those leads coming in, because that is going to be the key to your long-term real estate success. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. If you're listening on podcast, please leave a 5-star review and write something nice. If you feel like writing something nice, that would be super amazing. And if you're watching on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with somebody. It helps us get it out to the world to help more people in their real estate journey. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for hanging out today, and I'll see you next week.